On November 26, 1930, a news story was published on the front page of the Canadian newspaper, the Meriden Daily, titled "Village of the Dead." This news spread a wave of fear throughout Canada because an entire tribe in North Canada had vanished overnight without any trace. This is Anjikuni Lake, located in far area of North Canada, where a small settlement of an Eskimo tribe resides. About 100 to 150 people lived here, who caught fish from this lake to make a living. This area of North Canada has millions of square kilometers where only a few thousand people reside due to the harsh weather conditions. In Anjikuni Lake, in addition to fish, hunting of other animals occurs in the surrounding areas, and many hunters often come here. It was a cold day in November 1930 when a hunter named Joe Labelle came to this area for hunting. He became so busy with hunting that he didn't even realize when it got dark. He thought he would spend the night at the Eskimo tribe's settlement by the lake, as the people of this tribe were quite famous for their hospitality towards outsiders. Thus, Labelle packed his belongings and started walking toward the Eskimo settlement. It was a moonlit night, but there was complete silence all around. No person was in sight, nor was there any sound. He could only hear the sound of his own footsteps, although he had done this before. But today, something was strange when he, some far from settlement, heard only barking of dogs. He was still met with desolation and silence. Feeling uneasy, he quickened his pace, thinking that perhaps the villagers were asleep or had gone somewhere. From a distance, he could see the settlement, and smoke was rising from some of the houses. However, as he got closer, he couldn't hear any voices. Finally, when Labelle entered the settlement, he was astonished to find that there were no humans or animals present. However, it was strange that smoke was still rising from some of the houses, as if someone was still inside. He randomly went into one tent, but there was no one there, and this was the same case for all the tents. Perhaps Labelle could have overlooked this scene and left, but one thing troubled him further. In some houses, cooking pots were left on the stoves, but the food had burned. This meant that someone had intended to cook for the night, but hadn't been able to eat. Even the women of the settlement, who usually sewed clothes, had their work left unfinished, with threads still in the needles. It seemed as if the villagers had left suddenly. But where had they gone? Labelle began to search the entire settlement. He noticed that the dogs the villagers had kept were still tied up, but they had starved to death. However, there was food available for the dogs, yet no human was there to feed them. He saw a grave that had been dug, and it appeared that it had not been done long ago. Observing all this made Labelle more anxious and frightened. The local people always took their dogs with them when they went anywhere, but seeing all this made it seem like something strange had happened. Some calamity had forced the villagers to leave so suddenly that they had to abandon their dogs, clothes, and even the burning fire. Unable to bear it any longer, he quickly reached the nearest telegraph office. From there, he contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police camps and recounted what he had witnessed. When the police reached the village, Labelle's account was proven true. The police suspected that perhaps someone had attacked and killed all the villagers. But if that were the case, there should have been bloodstains somewhere in the settlement. Finding no blood, there was also no evidence of a struggle. If there was a struggle, there would have been some scattered belongings. The police immediately launched a search operation to find the villagers. During this search, something very peculiar was discovered that Labelle hadn't noticed. The entire settlement was covered in snow, but there were no footprints in the snow. There were only Labelle's account was proven true. The police suspected that perhaps someone had attacked and erased own footprints. This meant that if no one else had come or gone from the settlement, besides Labelle's account was proven true, the police suspected that perhaps someone had attacked and killed. Then where did the villagers go? The lake was also frozen, and the villagers' boats were left standing on the ground because fishing wasn't done during the season. Thus, the boats were parked on land. If the villagers had swum away in the lake or had been killed and thrown into the lake, there would have been some broken or disturbed areas in the ice. During the police investigation, it was also discovered that these people had disappeared days before Labelle arrived, as the dogs would not have died from hunger in just 1 or 2 days. The smoke coming from the houses was a sign that they had not left long ago, as the smoke continues to rise for a long time even after the fire goes out. The police had many questions, but no answers. After months of exhaustive search operations, which involved scouring the area and interviewing anyone who might have known something, the authorities were left with no concrete evidence. Despite their best efforts, the investigation yielded little to no progress, leaving everyone involved frustrated and baffled. Eventually, after much deliberation, the police eventually stamped this case as postponed and closed it for good. As time passed, the memory of the case faded from the collective consciousness. What once had been a topic of local conversation and speculation slowly drifted into obscurity. People moved on with their lives, and the incident became nothing more than a distant memory, mentioned occasionally, but never seriously discussed again. The mystery surrounding the events near Anjikuni Lake was all but forgotten. 50 years later, in 1984, writers Roger Bohr and Nigel Blundell wrote an article trying to link this entire incident to aliens. They stated that when they explored this area near Anjikuni Lake, they encountered a hunter and his 2 sons, who reported that they had often seen flying objects over the lake, shaped differently, heading toward the settlement where the Eskimo tribe lived. Based on this story, it was suggested that perhaps aliens had landed that night and taken all the villagers with them. However, both writers had no solid evidence of the presence of aliens or their attack, so most people did not believe it and rejected this theory. Afterward, many people began creating different stories about the disappearance of the Eskimo tribe. But the reality is that this incident is nearly 100 years old, and yet no one has the answer to the question of where the people of Anjikuni Lake's settlement disappeared without any trace. The disappearance of the Eskimo tribe remains a mystery to this day. I hope you all will like and share this video. Thanks for watching and loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.